All right, everyone, I guess we'll go ahead and get started today. I want to thank you for coming. I'm Jameson, and I work as an assistant with the International Affairs Department at Gallaudet University. This session, we'll be talking about the Fulbright program, and we'll be discussing some information about the Fulbright program, its history, the process for applying. We actually do have three presenters today who are going to talk to you about their Fulbright program and their experience, and also discuss the application process with you. Next slide. So we do have an agenda for this afternoon session. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the Fulbright program. And then Becca is going to describe to you the details. Becca is the Fulbright advisor who will be helping you with the application process. So if you do decide to apply for a Fulbright, she would be your point of contact. Then we'll have three presenters this afternoon who will talk to you about their Fulbright experience, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So the Fulbright program is actually named after a US senator, senator in Arkansas, who actually established the program via Congress in 1946. And the Bureau of Education, Educational Affairs under the US Department of State advocated for it. And this program is actually monitored by the US under the IIE. And then the administration and oversight actually is administered overseas by binational commissions and US embassies. The goal of the Fulbright is to increase mutual understanding between people of the United States and people in other countries through mutual exchanges. Next slide, please. So now I'll turn it over to Becca, who will talk to you a little bit about this next slide.
Hi, everyone. So you see Charles Riley here on the PowerPoint, and he's my boss. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today, but I do want to still introduce him. And that is because he works with me to support all students who apply for a Fulbright scholarship. And I'm just going to say that again, those who apply for a Fulbright scholarship. So Charles Riley actually won a Fulbright scholarship when he was doing his PhD studies, and he went to Thailand for a year. And now he works with me to support Gallaudet students who apply for a Fulbright. So if you do decide to apply, you will work with him, with Charles Riley, and he is very skilled at designing projects. This is me, Becca, and I am the manager of education abroad and international fellowships. So I support all Gallaudet students who would like to study, research, or do an internship in another country. I also help students apply for a scholarship or a fellowship. And that would be specifically in another country. I also applied for a Fulbright, and at the time I was in college. And I didn't win, but I was an alternate, which meant that if a student who did win did not accept their award, then I would be the winner of the award. But unfortunately, that never happened. But the good news is that Fulbright has many programs. As of 2 years ago, you could apply for many. I did apply for a Fulbright opportunity and I did win that. And so I plan to go to Japan in 2020, but of course then the pandemic hit and everything was thrown off kilter. So that program was delayed to 2021 and then again delayed until 2022. So I am hoping that I'll be able to go to Japan in 2022. All right, so let me share who is eligible to apply for a Fulbright. You need to have a bachelor's degree. Actually, let me back up a moment. The deadline for the Fulbright application, and this is the final deadline that I'm referring to, is in October. So if you submit your application in October, means you need to graduate by May of next year or already have graduated. So it is all right if you've already graduated. You may have a job already, or you may be in graduate school. That is all well and good. And if you apply by this October, that means if you do win the award, you will be traveling in the fall of 2022, which means by that time you need to have your bachelor's degree. And you also must be a US citizen. Fulbright Scholarships has various opportunities. And normally I like to separate those opportunities into 3 different categories. The first I call Open Study Research Grant. And that means that you will propose a project, a research project that you would like to do in another country. And most Gallaudet students apply for this category of Fulbright grants. The second category, or the second opportunity, is called English Teaching Assistantship. This is an opportunity for teaching English in another country. And that can be with high school students. It could also be with university students. And it really depends on the country because each country has different opportunities. Fulbright also recently added a few English teaching assistantships, and we have assigning teaching assistantships. So there are a few opportunities to teach in deaf schools in other countries. So they recently added an opportunity to teach ASL in, and I'm trying to think of the sign for Germany. I think it's something like this. I forget, my apologies. Tough to remember all those country signs. So most Gallaudet students, well, I would say some Gallaudet students, English is not their first language. So for them to teach English is not always the best fit. But some students do want this opportunity. And we do have a few specific opportunities for deaf applicants. The third category of a Fulbright scholarship is what we call special Fulbright. So each country varies and has their own special Fulbright. Some of these programs are connected with a master's program. So if you plan to apply for a specific university in another country, then you would also apply for the Fulbright that is connected with that. So it's 2 applications. So you would need to apply for both at the same time. And then you would wait until you received both acceptance letters and be able to go if you do receive both. But again, you would need to be accepted by both programs. This one, I would say, is more competitive. And I'll give you some more information about that. So just a minute, let me show you. I'll let you read this slide before I explain. So here you see an example of one country's page that is on the Fulbright website. So this is the French Fulbright page. They have 17 research grants. And then they have 10 English teaching assistantship awards. And then they also have a few other special awards. So each country, has a page on the Fulbright website. So you could explore those websites and see what your options may be in that specific country that you're interested in. Normally, the first step in considering, is to consider which country you would like to apply for. So the first step would be to meet with me. We have a Fulbright consultants form on the Study Abroad website. And this form helps us learn more about you, about your background and your experience, as well as your interest. And then the 2 of us can sit down and meet either in person or be virtually. And then we would talk about, which country you may be interested in applying to. We can also talk about what type of Fulbright scholarship you're interested in. And the first meeting, I would say, is more of an opportunity for me to learn about you so that I can then be of support to you and guide you in the right direction. And then after this presentation, I will send a follow-up email with the information about the Fulbright Scholarship, as well as all of the links to these pages. Again, let me give you just a moment to read this. All right, so this here is just a basic timeline. I just wanted to give you a sense of when you would start working on your application and then when you would travel, right? So this spring and summer, you would be working on your application. You would be writing your essay, and I would work with you to, we could meet many times to talk about your project and your application. And then in September, you would submit all of your materials, and that would be to me, to Gallaudet. And then our Gallaudet committee would review your materials. We would then provide you with feedback. It's basically just the last bits of feedback to, put your best foot forward here with this application. That would be September, and then in October would be the official deadline for when you would submit all of your application. And in January, you would find out if you are a semifinalist. Now, if you are a semifinalist, then your chances of winning are very good. And then sometime between January and April, you will find out if you've won a Fulbright scholarship or not. And each country announces theirs at a different time. So, there's no specific date. Some students will, find out earlier than others. Some already know right now that they've won. And you'll hear from Angela later today, who will talk a little bit about this. And she is one of those people who is still waiting, who applied last year and is still waiting. So we're hoping, that we will find out her status very soon. So if you do win, then you will be traveling in the fall of 2022. If you decide that maybe you're not ready to travel in 2022, then you can apply next year. And it is the same timeline. So you don't need to read everything on this slide. The details aren't important. I just wanted to give you a sense of the specific guidance here. So each step of the way has an explanation. You would know what you would do in the process. So when you first start your application, you may feel a little bit overwhelmed. You may feel like it's a lot of work, that there's just a lot of steps, that you aren't sure where to begin. So don't worry, we will be helping you with everything. And, you'll meet with me, you'll meet with you can meet with me many times. There's also other faculty members that you can meet with. So I just want to make sure that you are aware and are not paranoid about that. So you can reach out to me and contact me through the email listed on the slide, or my personal Gallaudet email works as well. And I'll send you a follow-up email with all of my contact information, as well as more information about the Fulbright Scholarship. And a link to the application form. And that would be if you are interested in applying.
All right. Thank you, Becca, for that presentation explaining about the Fulbright program. We'll go ahead with the rest of our program, which includes 3 speakers talking about their experiences with the program. So Jarvis Grindstaff will talk about his experience with the Fulbright program in Thailand. Jarvis, can you go ahead?
Can everyone see me?
Sure can.
Okay, super. Hi, everyone. My name is Jarvis, and this is my sign name. I graduated from Gallaudet with 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree. And I can't actually see myself. I just see the interpreter's blank screen. So I want to make sure everyone can see me. Okay, super. That's better. I wanted to make sure everyone could see me. And now I can see myself. Okay. So I graduated from Gallaudet with a business degree and a master's in international development and an MPA. That's a master's in public administration. During my graduate program, I applied for a Fulbright scholarship, a research and study grant in Thailand. And I can talk more about my proposal a little bit. So I focused on the country of Thailand and focused on VRS, Video Relay Service Interpreting. There they call it TRS, Telecommunication Relay Service. And so I wanted to know how their program impacted deaf people and deaf people's employment in Thailand. Now that research required that I partner with an institute within the country, and I chose two. The first was the University of Mahidol, and that's in Rashuda College. And they supported my research. So I had a faculty member there who worked with me. And then the second organization that I worked with was NADT. That's the National Association for the Deaf in Thailand. And then I worked with the TTRS. Next slide, please. Okay, great. So this just shows you a map of Asia or Southeast Asia. So you can see where I was in Thailand. And I was housed in Bangkok. And that's the capital of Thailand. It's a very large city. Next slide, please. This just gives you a little sense of, what Thailand looks like. I know everyone thinks of the Buddha, and there are indeed many there. So that just gives you a little sense. The statues of Buddha. So the monk tradition is wonderful. In Thailand, every morning at 5 in the morning, the monks collect donated food. So you can just see the pictures here. So next slide, please. So my research was housed in Bangkok. And I really pictured Thailand to be very different than it was. Bangkok is an enormous city, equivalent to New York City. And there's about 14.5 million people in Bangkok. The temperature is very hot, 100 or more. It's a very high humidity. It was a great experience. So I loved these shops, always shopping for food and clothing and other things. There were also a lot of scooters, which was really neat to see. So when there was, the traffic basically was scooter traffic, not cars. Next slide, please. This is just a short video for you to take a look at. This is a Deaf Festival, International Week of the Deaf in Thailand. So people came from all over the world for this. Traditional dance, these are deaf students. This is Charles's son, who I met over there. This is the NADT meeting where I gave a presentation there. And this is in Thai Sign Language. And I think it was the first day I did not, I had to have a translator with me, an interpreter with me to translate into ASL. And then later I picked up the language. Now this is the president of Thailand, who we had the opportunity to meet, which was amazing. And this was Disability Awareness Week. This is just a pageant, an event where a lot of deaf people went to the show. This is the president of NADT sponsored this, and there's a lot of interaction here with the um, professors and research assistants. So this is NADT. You could see in the top right-hand corner is that meeting, and then TRS, which is where I started my research. And I started with the training with how to use relay service. And so I was a participant there. I watched that. Now in the bottom right, you can see all the teachers, and pink shirt was the gentleman who supported my research throughout my program. Next slide, please. Now, it's impossible to not be present to the delicious, amazing food that is in the country. We didn't cook at home at all. It's not necessary. You can go out for food anytime. And these are most of my favorite food, the tom tom soup, which is very spicy soup, tom yum soup, very, very popular. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Then the Northern Thai chicken and noodle curry, khao soi. It is delicious. It's like sweet cream chicken and noodles. And then pork satay. You can find that on the street pretty much anywhere. They're all lined up on the grill. You can just get one of those with peanut sauce or with spicy sauce and dip it. And then the last one I put here is a dessert. This is black sesame balls in ginger tea. And it is delicious. Next one. So I love going to famous places, where they have street food shows like Netflix original documentary series, Street Food in Asia. So I went there, very famous, ate a lot of great food there, noodles, pad ki mao tale, all the different foods. Next slide, please. Then this is also Jack Pui curry rice. Went to eat there. So you get this huge plate of food for only $1 or $2. And you cannot find that kind of service here. That's really local service in Thailand. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jarvis. Our next presenter this afternoon is Doris, and she's going to be sharing with us her experience in the Dominican Republic. So Doris, why don't you go ahead and join us? All right, can you all see me okay? Okay, perfect. Next slide, please. All right, this PowerPoint is about my Fulbright experience in the Dominican Republic. That was in 2019 through 2020. Next slide. So I graduated from Gallaudet University. I double majored in international studies and government and a minor in Spanish. My research for my Fulbright was actually in partnership with an organization there, la Asociación Nacional de Sordos de la República Dominicana. And I wanted to look at the current status of deaf education in the Dominican Republic. All right, next slide, please. So the reason that I decided to go ahead and apply for Fulbright was, first, I felt a personal relationship with the country. My dad was actually born there, and that was one of the reasons. And then I also had gone to the Dominican Republic for a visit, and I noticed that They didn't really have captioning on the television. And so I just became very curious about how people learn there. And that then triggered my curiosity, led to my passion. And I decided to really explore this real world experience. I had the opportunity to apply for my study and just look at what was happening in the country. I decided that I wanted to learn about the history and was really intrigued in being able to apply this in a real world context. The other reason that I applied was during my undergraduate degree, I had the opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic to conduct research. I actually received the Gilman Scholarship. Next slide, please. So just some tips for you on applying for Fulbright. You have to think about your country selection. When I decided to select the Dominican Republic, I knew that I would have a better chance in entering as a scholar via the Dominican Republic. And the other reason, just like my own story, you might have a personal connection with a particular country. And so then you can, find more information about that particular country that you're interested in. And then when you are writing your personal statement in your essay, that's really important because that's your opportunity to show the Fulbright program who you are as an individual. You can show them your leadership skills. You can display your motivation, your enthusiasm for the project, and just share how that would develop yourself personally through your research. And then I would also, another tip would just add find a mentor. If there's a professor on campus who can read your essay, edit it for you, that's always a good idea. It's just always a good idea to have support through this process because it isn't an easy process. You want to know what your resources are. It could be Becca, it could be Charles. They have a lot of resources. So definitely take advantage of meeting with them. Know, what professors would be willing to assist you with this process. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. It is okay. That's just a normal part of the process. We all need support at some point, right? And the other critical piece here is your time management. Because this process is an arduous one, right? It isn't something you can just finish in a week. You're going to have a few months where you're, applying for the Fulbright program. Next slide, please. My Fulbright experience is something I want to share with you next. Next slide, please. So before I left, I actually had an opportunity to meet and have an orientation to the Fulbright program about conducting research, about my country, other individuals who were also going to be going to Latin America. And the other good thing there was that with Fulbright, they do make things fully accessible. So during that orientation, I had interpreting services. And in the Dominican Republic, they also gave me additional funding for interpreters. Next slide. No, yeah, go back one. Yeah, here. In terms of the cultural immersion that I experienced during my time in the Dominican Republic, I really learned so much about their culture. I had an opportunity to visit different cultural attractions around the country, not just in the city where I was located. And you'll see the top photo, the coffee. In the Dominican Republic, it is very common to drink coffee. It's like their national drink. And I also got a chance to attend a protest. The Dominican Republic has a new generation of people who are standing up for themselves. And hold on a moment, please. It's just interesting to see that, local people mobilizing and taking to the streets. On the bottom, you'll see their Dominican Republican currency. So $1 American is equivalent to $50 in their currency. So very interesting ratio there. Next slide. Conducting research. While I was there, I was conducting research. I had an opportunity to actually visit several schools for the deaf and learn about their classroom environment. I had conversations with teachers. I met members of the deaf community and individuals who were involved in the educational system there. I have some other photos that I'll share with you momentarily. The director of the Deaf and Blind School in the Department of Education for the Dominican Republic. And also, I had the opportunity to do some research in terms of, what the Dominican Republic needs, it was just a fascinating experience, really. Next slide. As a part of the Fulbright experience, I also had an opportunity to socialize with the deaf community. I had a chance to meet many members of the deaf community from all over the Dominican Republic. I would actually go and visit. So one picture there, you see me in a very small town teaching about the coronavirus. And so at that time, we actually didn't know a lot about the virus. And there's another picture that I haven't shown, but I did have an opportunity to attend disability march. And so that march for people with disabilities, they had a late night meeting. There was a lot of socializing that was going on. So next slide, please. Post Fulbright, I would say that the Fulbright experience is something that is going to stay with me forever. It was a 9-month experience, but it is an experience that I will never forget. Truly an experience of a lifetime in terms of just becoming a new person, all the ways in which it has influenced me. Next slide. So this quote here, you go ahead and read it. I would say that the Fulbright process really allowed me to learn so very much. I had the opportunity to really, have a experiential experience where I was able to learn and grow. Next slide. And once you go and have a Fulbright experience, you will have lifelong relationships with your hosts, with the individuals you met while in country. I miss the Dominican Republic so much. It is now a part of me. And, I am able to still communicate and stay in touch with the people that I met there. And even if I don't get to visit as often as I would like, I know these are lifelong relationships. Next slide, please. I did also want to talk about advancing career opportunities because this was an opportunity for me to advance my career. This is a picture of me presenting, and this is at the University Council for Educational Administration, their annual conference in 2019. And that was during the Fulbright. I actually came back and gave a presentation about my research and really just having the chance to socialize and network with people in international development I mean, can you imagine with my major and experiences, what a wonderful opportunity that was for me to be able to network and build some social capital in the field. So I'm very, very grateful. Next slide, please. And then in terms of alumni resources, as a Fulbright alumni, you will have access to the International Exchange Alumni Network. So that means people who have also participated in the Fulbright program are people you will be connected to. And then even in your cohort, you're also building relationships with the cohort who went to their countries at the same time that you did. So, I can identify those who went to Latin America, who speak and are interested in the Spanish language and culture, or connect with people who are deaf or have other disabilities. And so one of the other benefits is that you also have access to the peer-reviewed journal database. So right now you're a student at Gallaudet and you do have access, but typically you wouldn't have access to it once you're no longer a student at Gallaudet University. But if you're a Fulbright alumni, you have access to JSTOR. So that's one of the benefits that you have if you're conducting further research post Fulbright experience. This is another quote that I wanted to end with. You can go ahead and read it. This was really important for me because I feel like Gallaudet teaches us the way that we can connect, discover, and influence the world. And through the Fulbright program, that's exactly what I did. It's not just about being an academic in a classroom, but putting theory into action. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Can everyone see me okay? All right. Next, we have Angela Rogers. She was a semifinalist actually for the Fulbright and is hoping to hear whether or not she won a Fulbright scholarship. She is going to talk about her experience just with the application process, how long it was, what it took, what resources she needed, what support she got through that process in completing the application. So Angela, I'll go ahead and turn it on to you. If you can turn on your camera now.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I am Angela. So I am a semi-finalist for Taiwan right now. And graduated from Gallaudet in May of 2020. And I thought I would try to see if I could get a Fulbright. I think it was August, about August when I decided. It took me about 5 or 6 months to actually make progress and manage, time management is really important. You also have Becca and Charles. They helped me just to fill out the application and all of that. So they helped a lot. So I chose Taiwan because I actually was adopted in China, and Taiwan is, has relations with China. And very specifically, my research that I wrote about in my essay was to recognize that Taiwan has their own sign language. So Taiwanese sign language is used is recognized in the national level. So I want to look at how they actually ratified that act, how they did that in their government and passed that to recognize that as a language. And so some tips for how I applied and how, if you'd like to apply for different countries, you could either choose which country you really want to go to or choose strategically, so go to the Fulbright website, take a look, apply for a country that may have a low number of applicants So you have a high chance of getting that for that specific country. So I sort of did both approaches. So then also I worked with Becca and Charles and other professors at Gallaudet. So David, Sherry, a whole bunch of people who helped me with my essay. And it's really important, you know, want to know how you can actually, you know, through your personal statement, through your essay, convince the judges, you know, why you want to go to this country. What is your research proposal? They're very interested in something unique or different. And so I know that, you know, Taiwanese Sign Language is very unique. And so you want to make sure that your application stands out for the judges. So again, Charles, Becca, and a few others helped me polish my essay so that it was really convincing. Another tip is if you're done with your personal statement and your essay and your proposal, you can also use that personal statement for graduate school in general. So often they're asking for the same format. And so it's really nice to be able to use that if you are thinking of going to graduate school. So I'm going to be doing that myself. So thank you to Becca and Charles for their help. Time management is so important because Fulbright has, you know, their dates and deadlines listed. And so that's already there, and you want to make sure that you do yours the earliest as possible and on time. So as much in advance as possible, 2-3 weeks, submit it in advance. Another tip is, you know, if you want to apply maybe for a specific organization or institution in another country, you're going to want to contact them and ask if they'll sponsor you. So you need to look at which country, you know, what the timeline is, and, you know, maybe they're busy during the summer. So I would suggest that you get in touch with them very early, and then they can respond and say they can sponsor you or not. So it's much harder to do if you wait. So again, I suggest you start as early as possible. So that's it. Thank you. All right, so first of all, thank you so much to all of our presenters. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Are there any questions?
We are open to questions now.
I'll just add a little bit here that the Fulbright really wants to invest in future leaders. They want to know that you are motivated and wanting to become a leader in your community in the future. So you definitely need a good project idea, but you also need to show that you have the skills and the motivation. And that is to do your project and to live in, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't see anyone signing.
Oh. Okay, just a moment, I'll fix that.
I think they see you now, Becca.
Okay, great.
Okay, we should be good to go.
Wait, you can only see me? Already 1 year we've been on Zoom and I'm still struggling. Can everyone see me signing? No? Yes? All right, well, anyway, as I was saying, you do need a good project idea, and you also need to show that that you are the kind of person who can actually live in another country. You know, that you can live in another country for 9 months. And of course, you're not going to be alone, but you will be without your normal support system and normal support network. So they want to see a motivated applicant. And you don't actually need to show that you have the highest GPA or that you are the top of your class. I really want to see people who are creative and innovative and motivated. So please don't worry if, you may think you're not a good applicant, but don't worry, don't worry about that. Any questions?
Can you see me? So I
Just a
did
moment.
see a question in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a question in the chat. So do you want to answer that? Yeah, they were saying, will the Fulbright give you full support? And yes, they do fully support you. That means they pay for your housing, they pay for your meals, they pay for everything. So any of your life-related expenses, they will cover. So if you're broke, don't worry about it. You will have money for food. Fulbright will support you 100%.
All right. So each country has their own amount of funds that they will grant. And that's because some countries are more wealthy than others. But they should cover all of your expenses and for the full time that you are in that country. Also, Fulbright is a great distinction. It's a distinguished grant from the US Department. So if you do win, you can add that to your resume, and that's there forever. People will see that you're a Fulbright scholar. And that actually will make it easier for you to find a job in the future. And if you apply for a government job or a federal job in the future, then you'll be prioritized. Your resume will go to the top of their list.
All right, can you see me okay? We do have a question in the Q&A that says, how long does the English teaching assistantship last?
So most of the Fulbright opportunities are 9 months. but it really depends on the specific opportunity in that specific country. And when you look on the Fulbright website and review information on each webpage, you will be able to see the length of time for that specific opportunity. Most of them are 9 months, some are 10 months, and sometimes students have an opportunity to extend their stay and add a few more months. But normally, it starts in September and it is done in May or June. So again, you would follow the schedule that's listed under that country.
All right, any more questions?
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming today. I know that it is spring break very soon, and so a lot of students are, feeling ready for that break. And a little bit done with using Zoom, so we get that. So thank you very much to all of our presenters for sharing your experiences. And I will send a follow-up email to each person with information about Fulbright. Again, my contact information and all the links to start the process with Gallaudet will be included. And with that, this video will actually be posted on YouTube. And then you're welcome to watch this again or share it with other people. So thank you so much. And everyone, thank you to the interpreters and have a wonderful spring break.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.